Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
Hi, this is Ed Kennedy from Procensis, and you're listening to The New Warehouse. And my safety tip for the day is this. If you're considering new technology out on the distribution floor and you're working with various vendors, my advice to you is make sure whatever technology you're investing in has the ability to be disinfectant ready. So whether it's a scanner, a mobile computer, ask the vendor is if those devices can be disinfectant ready so you can wipe it down, and this way you're providing clean devices to your associates on the floor.
With e-commerce off the charts, many small and growing warehouses are asking, how can I get ahead when my warehouse is barely keeping up? The answer is future-ready warehouse tech from Zebra Technologies. Warehouses can simplify and upgrade all processes, from automated inventory management to hands-free picking, with Zebra's tailored, scalable mobile solutions. They're simple and intuitive. There's never been a better time to upgrade for success with Zebra. How can your warehouse get ahead? The answer's in black and white. Get the answers at zebra.com/theanswer. That's zebra.com/theanswer. Fulfillment demand continues to skyrocket and outpace available labor. To keep up, warehouse operators are turning to flexible fulfillment solutions like 6 River Systems. Utilizing 6 River Systems' award-winning combination of collaborative robots, artificial intelligence, and operational expertise will make your associates and wall-to-wall fulfillment workflow more efficient. No new infrastructure, no change to warehouse layout, easy to deploy and scale, easy to train and retain associates, all at half the cost of traditional automation. Want to take your fulfillment operation to the next level? Go to www.6river.com to learn more. That's www.6river.com to learn more. How do you create warehouse superheroes? The answer is simple. With visual voice scan solutions from Procensis. With record demand and labor shortages, warehouses need more effective workers and lightning-fast onboarding. Visual voice scan solutions from Procensis enable warehouse workers to achieve superhero performance with up to 20% improved productivity and up to 99% accuracy. Hands-free barcode scanners from ProGlove paired with wearable mobile computers is just the beginning. Improved mobile interfaces with reduced keystrokes, easy-to-read screens, custom keyboards, voice-enabled interface, and more can be realized with ease on the leading WMS platforms. Sound too good to be true? Let us show you with our one-of-a-kind virtual demo. Visit Procensis.com to get started today. Again, that's Procensis.com to get started.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, and today I am here at the Procensis Solution Center, and I am going to be joined by Ed Kennedy. He is the president and one of the managing partners here at Procensis, and Procensis provides great mobile solutions for your fulfillment centers, warehouses, supply chain avenues, and all different technologies to support that. And one of the great things about them is they also provide unique software solutions within the mobile technologies that can really improve productivity and efficiency and really simplify the process for bringing new workers on, and also just make your employees a lot happier and translate that mobile technology to what they're used to in their everyday life. So we're going to talk today to Ed. We're going to talk about some of the warehouse labor shortages that are happening out there. I'm sure we're all experiencing that and we're all familiar with that, and how mobile technology is kind of helping to alleviate some of those challenges and what they're really seeing from the customers that they're working with and the demand that they're seeing. So I'm going to welcome Ed here. He's to my left in the video as well. So we're doing audio and video today. That's something new for the New Warehouse Podcast. So thank you to Procensis for setting this up and having me. So Ed, welcome on the show. How are you?
Thank you. Excellent. And first, welcome to Procensis. We appreciate you hosting the podcast here today.
Yeah, thank you. I guess you guys are technically hosting me, but I'm hosting you on the podcast. Yeah, so we're double hosting here. So Ed, why don't you tell us a little bit about Procensis, what it is you guys kind of do, and a little overview.
Absolutely. So we're a system integrator focusing in the warehouse manufacturing distribution space with a heavily emphasis on e-commerce. Mm-hmm. My partner and I founded the company in 2014.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, probably the last 4 years, we've been really focusing on the value-added services in a distribution center around picking. That's probably where there's a lot of value to be gained.
Definitely. Okay. So you said you founded Procensis in 2014. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how that kind of came about? How did you end up in this space?
Absolutely. So prior to Procensis, I had spent a few years with one of the leading automation companies, so I was very familiar with conveyor sortation, robotics, and things of that nature. And, my partner and I realized, we thought about starting a company together, and we wanted to focus on how we could bring value into those type of operations centered around mobility.
Gotcha. Okay, very interesting, and certainly an incredible space to be in. I'm sure from a business standpoint, especially in the last year and a half to 2 years here now, going a little crazy in the supply chain space due to COVID and some of the other challenges that have arisen because of that, and some of the domino effects in a sense. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys have been seeing here at Procensis over that time?
Sure. So, if we look back prior to COVID, we were experiencing a labor shortage. In fact, in November of 19, unemployment was at its all-time low since 1969.
Right.
So we had already begun the process of gearing up and focusing on wearable technology. We wanted to build out a portfolio solution centered around what we refer to as our visual voice scan solution.
Okay.
So we, as a company, were a little ahead of the curve maybe from others because we were looking how we can make the picking process faster, because what we saw then is what we continue to see today is how do you get more with less? Less people, less IT resources. But at the same time, when you say more, you want, that proficiency and accuracy. So, prior to 2019, some of the voice solutions, they really didn't incorporate barcode scanning, and what we're seeing is that, clients want that scanning element, but they realize that, is that the fastest way? And so that's why we were really wanting to put together this portfolio, not just one solution, say one fits all.
Right.
We really wanted to listen to what their requirements are, see what they're doing on the floor, and how we can improve that process.
Okay, good to hear. And, I think it's really a smart thing that you guys are doing with the flexibility in terms of the solutions that are out there and being able to, like you just said, conform to what the customer wants and not just trying to push one solution. And I think you guys are incredibly agile and flexible in that perspective. And being able to really recognize what the customer is utilizing currently and then trying to improve upon that is really the best way to go. And I think that's exactly what you guys are doing.
Oh, absolutely. And we're doing that for several reasons. Number one, by 2025, 75% of the workforce is going to be millennials. And then a good chunk of it is that next gen behind it. Okay. Right. And if you think about those type of people, even the generation behind them, they're not afraid of technology. They're very smart to know that a lot of what they do in their daily life is powered by their personal device.
Right.
And so they're not afraid to embrace new technology. So, for example, commonly these kids game, and there's what's called the gamification effect.
Oh, yeah.
And so if they're using VR technology, would it be scary for them to embrace VR technology on the distribution floor? Probably not. So we continue as I talk about this portfolio, but we're keeping in mind with, the type of worker that we're working with today, as well as the worker of tomorrow. And at the same time, there's this other factor, coming in now that is a very new concept, and that's the gig worker. Okay. And so it's not uncommon that the person who's going to be, coming to you and say, well, I'm only interested in part-time work. And I can work, I understand you have a multi-shift operation, and I'm willing to work, 6 hours on these days, because on these other days, I'm going to be working for, crowdsource driving, whether it's Uber or GoPuff or one of these companies, I'm going to be doing that type of, work as well to make money. So what we're seeing is that the solutions today must be intuitive. They must be able to embrace it quickly and get out there and do what they need to do. It can't be overcomplicated, and it really has to work. Or they're going to find, they know they're so valuable right now that they'll find work elsewhere.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. The value of the labor due to the shortage has certainly increased, and we see it in wages. I mean, I certainly see it in my day-to-day, having to pay things that is pretty incredibly high compared to just like 3 years ago, what we were paying for wages. But, I think you have a great point there too about, creating something that's intuitive and relates to the person that you're looking at to hire and what they're using in their daily life, and the mobile technology, like you said, the gamification, using their cell phones, which you had there, and translating that into their work life, and how, to make that easier for them to come on board and kind of simplify the training aspect. So I guess tell us a little bit about, how some of that implementation from your side has helped some of your customers increase their onboarding processes or maintaining more staff for a longer time.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we do is one of our, whether it's one of our industrial engineers or it's one of our business process specialists, is we really want to review. And we start with that picking process because that's where they're looking to gain the efficiency. Right. So in today's new COVID world, if we can go on site, if not, the technology is there to leverage Zoom. So it's not uncommon we can use FaceTime. Yeah. Although we started this company, 7 years ago, myself and my partner have been in this space for over 20 years. So we're very, very familiar with these operations. So we see similarities with other operations. And so from that, we come back with various different solutions. So, for example, if the operation is using cart pick, and how they're doing cart pick today, are they using traditional devices where they have to pick up, scan, put down so they can pick the items out of the bin? Do they pick to a pallet? Are they picking a full case where it would be great if they had both hands? Right. So we incorporate wearable technology, and then we dive deeper. And what I mean by that is, do they when they're picking in an aisle, could they pick from both sides of the aisle? Do they wander away from the forklift or the cart? And in that case, maybe that technology has to go with them. And then we'll take it even a step further and understand, like, if they have a lot of exceptions, maybe we implement voice as well. Okay. And what we're finding out there is that they're not afraid, so incorporating a solution that combines visual and voice, they can actually work faster than just maybe voice alone.
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, very interesting. And I think that visual aspect and what you pointed out there about them, stepping away from whatever apparatus they're working on, whether it's forklift, machine, or like a cart, you said, and, being able to keep that information with them. And I know one of the things you guys utilize a lot is the ProGlove solution, which helps out with that. I think you got one right here if you want to
absolutely
flash it real quick.
Here's an example of a wearable device. This happens to be the ProGlove Mark display. And the power of this device is it's not only it's just very comfortable, lightweight, it weighs about the same as my Apple Watch I'm wearing today, is that you have the ability to just display the task at that given time. So instead of looking at a busy mobile device of a warehouse management transaction, if they're directed to that bin, on here not only says what bin they're to pick from, but it actually tells them what to do. So it says scan bin, pick 5, whatever it may be, they only need to look at the display to do what they need to do. So this is a great benefit when someone's going to come down an aisle and they're going to hop off and they can pick from either side of the aisle to build their pallet or pick to their cart. And so, again, through that business process analysis, we can determine if it makes sense that something should be mounted on their arm or it can be mounted on the forklift. And I got to tell you, when you have the ability to mount things, then the more ROI comes into play because things are not being dropped. So the durability factor that they really like from the older technology, maybe being big and bulky, the newer technology might be smaller, but you'd be surprised that between mounting it and the devices themselves, they are durable.
Yeah, very interesting. And I love the Pro Glove and the hands-free solutions because it just like you said, it gives you less chance of dropping things, but it also gives you more productivity because you're not constantly going back checking your screen. How many was I supposed to pick? What location was I supposed to go to? You're not accidentally leaving your device in a location and then having to turn around and go back and get it.
You would be surprised how often that happens.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
It does, And the other thing is again, if we think about, what they're using in their daily life, it's their mobile device. And, you do your banking on it, you do texting on it, you make phone calls on it, you process applications, emails, etc. So the idea is if you can give them something that's maybe similar. So what I mean by that is, why give them a separate walkie-talkie? Because that's a whole nother system, right? Why not give them everything they need on that device? And the idea is to empower that user to do whatever they need right then and there on the floor. They don't have to walk back to a desk. They don't have to find another device to communicate to. And so they like this technology. And that's the thing, and to give you an example, we work with a very large retailer. And we've been working with them for many years. And one of the things they said to us was that, this is the first time that ROI pricing wasn't in the top 3 of the decision. And I said, so why was that? And they said, the thing is this, they're using technology that's heavy and it's bulky, and that where they happen to be located is a very populous area for distribution centers. So they're bringing in quality talent, but they're losing the talent who are going to other distribution centers because the technology is lighter, easier to use, and to embrace. So employee retention became one of the driving factors in the decision process.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think that's incredible to hear because I think, oftentimes before when maybe labor was very available, there was like not as high demand as we're in the situation now. It was kind of like, whoever can come in and, that part doesn't necessarily matter. It's about the dollars, right? But the retention now is super important because like you mentioned, it's crazy. Like they can go down the street and get the same job. No problem.
Exactly. So let me just give you an idea. About 8 to 10 years ago, employee retention is always a big thing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so in the distribution space, because what were some of the things companies doing? They were having maybe improved the cafeteria. Maybe they brought in some of those self-service type vending type solutions. Maybe they offered various different things. Well, that isn't the driving point anymore because now everyone's doing that. The reality is in some of these operations, especially the e-commerce ones, they're introducing incentive pay. And so if they have the ability to pick faster and pick more and be accurate, and they can earn extra money by doing that, obviously there's a huge benefit to the company because it's less people, again, to work with. They're so smart that they'll look at the technology and say, that thing looks about 6 years old. That thing's going to break. That's going to slow me down, and I'm not going to be able to complete the hours I need to do to get to my incentive pay. They become that smart, and so they know what to look for. And here's the thing. I can't emphasize enough. Sometimes they're literally going to right across the street and taking a job there. So another interesting concept that's happening that I really encourage some of our clients to look into, and this goes back to that gamification effect, if you think about it, is statistics. So, think about these YouTubers, these gamers, and that when they're playing, whatever game they're playing online and who they're playing with, they can see their real-time statistics.
Right.
So what I mean by that is some of these companies are implementing labor management systems, and they might have these big boards and showing graphs and things like that.
Yeah.
But if you have the ability to display statistics, red, green, so the user knows, hey, I'm operating in my labor standard, or I'm exceeding my labor, they love that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, they actually will work faster. So the newer technology today has that capability in the Android platform to be able to accommodate something like that.
Yeah, I think that's awesome because, I've certainly seen firsthand as well, people get crazy over their production and, complaining about the technology and saying, if I had the newer one versus the older one, then, it would go faster. And, people are certainly aware of that, and they've gotten smart and they understand the technology that's out there. And like you said, there's warehouses all over the place now. So if they're coming to you, most likely they've worked at another warehouse. Yep. And, sometimes they're working at some of the bigger guys as well, which, have more than newer technology. So they've experienced that stuff and they know what can make their job easier. And I think, it's incredibly important to bring that in to your space and be able to, I think you guys say create warehouse superheroes, right?
Absolutely.
Do that and use that technology so they can improve themselves and give them the tools to be, the best picker or whatever the case may be, best whatever it is that they're doing in that space. So,
just to add to that, another way we're able to do that, especially with ProGlove, not only it has an accelerometer in the device, and that along with their cloud application can capture very important data such as number of scans.
Yeah. You
can actually see the travel paths the picker, the associate on the floor is, and you can actually see where time is being spent. So you commonly hear that term, the digital twin. And this is an IoT type of device. So to Kevin, to your point, is by capturing this data, feeding it to the client's BI system, and possibly incorporating heat maps, you can start to get to realize, why is it that Ed is more fatigued? Why is he picking picking faster in the morning, but why is he much lighter in the afternoon? And maybe it's because of the amount of steps he's taking in a day versus somebody else. So do you need to incorporate more labor in that process or not? So the technology is much more than it was maybe 5-10 years ago, which was simply scan a barcode into an application.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point because you not only bring in the technology that makes it easier for your employees to do the job every day, but then you start to actually accumulate these data points that make sense and that matter and that actually have real-time operational impacts, like you mentioned, the heat map and those different types of things, and you're able to get those insights and not only pair them with the right technology to be able to do their job more effectively and increase that productivity, but then also do things behind the scenes that maybe they don't necessarily see visually as a direct result, but then it improve that overall work life as well. Also, and from a safety standpoint, you talked about fatigue and, making things less strenuous and less travel time obviously is going to increase your efficiency, but then it's also going to, reduce the risk of them having some type of strain or additional injury as well. So I think it's all very smart, and the package you're putting together is pretty incredible to help deliver these types of things to your customers. So I am curious to hear a little bit about, a lot of times I think, in companies are focused on the higher level people, the decision makers, if you want to call them that, at that level. But, some of the implementations you've done with these solutions, what type of reaction do you get from the workers who are actually utilizing the technology?
So I'll give you one without saying a name.
Sure.
It's one of the, we'll just say maybe top 10 U.S. retailers.
Okay.
And they were using, cart pick type operation. And when they got to incorporating using the ProGlove with the display, they literally said, this is as great as Christmas. I mean, I was taken back by that statement, but they looked at it that the company invested in their people because they themselves, look, the workers on the floor know very well about labor shortages. They absolutely do. And they like what they're doing, but when, by utilizing the Pro Glove versus something heavier and bigger and wear on their wrist, they were very grateful to the project, and it's gone so well. And we're in a very, now we're doing a big rollout with the company right now. So, the neat thing about Pro Glove is all they do is make this type of technology. They don't make printers, they don't make mobile computers. So they really, really focus on ergonomics, safety. I'll give you an example of safety is, with COVID, if two workers got within 6 feet of each other, you could actually give some type of, the lights could go off, a haptic feel, and it can send an alert back to someone who's managing it that we have people too close, right? And so they're constantly looking at how, listen to the voice of the customer. What can they do to improve on their solution? Because I think, once you hire that person, you onboard them, you're really wanting to retain that person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you mentioned something interesting there, the voice of the customer, right? And in this case, as a business and a company, your customer is not only your external customer, but also your employees that are doing that direct labor as well. So, being able to listen to them and satisfy them with technology, and, it's great to hear the actual feedback from some of those employees who are using the technology. It shows that, it really does kind of improve the mood of the worker and, make them happier in the job that they're doing, so that they can be more effective and more productive. So very interesting, to hear about these different things and some of the solutions you guys are providing to tackle these labor shortages, and not only labor shortages, but then I think the retention is also the big sticking point as well. So we were talking a little bit before we started to roll and record here, and you guys are, obviously with everything going on, you guys are in a great spot from a business standpoint. You're growing rapidly as well. So we're in the Procensis Solution Center right now, but you guys are growing in a sense. You even mentioned you're having trouble getting some labor too to keep up with the growth. So talk to us a little bit about how you guys are not only, we talked about the solutions you're providing, but how are you guys also expanding to be able to better accommodate customers and become more robust in that sense to help them really understand the solution that they need?
Sure, absolutely. So, again, prior to COVID, when we moved into our new facility here, it was really designed to be customer facing. So yes, we're in our solution center where, clients who were here local can come in, test, use it, and validate kind of what, our sales team has been talking to them about. As time went on, we have clients literally right down the street, and they wouldn't allow us in their doors. So Zoom became a common platform, and we started to leverage, platforms like Zoom to be able to do these type of demonstrations. And it's worked out real well for us. And now, Procensis, we're expanding again. Our deployment and fulfillment center is doubling size, but we're leveraging some of that space to create even a much larger solution center that will allow us to start and get involved in time and motion studies. So what will be exciting about that is when we, whether we do future podcasts, but we can actually present where we have the camera technology a little further back, and where customers can actually watch us pick, multiple orders with various different technology and actually do real time and motion study. So we're really excited about that, because we're with today's technology and how you can deploy new technology all over the world, is clients want to see this in operations. And so even today, even though in the new, sometimes they just don't let us in. But if we but we're asked to present sometimes our solutions on different continents, and so we're excited about the expansion we're doing here.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I mean, what you guys have set up here to be able to tackle the challenges on your end too, just like you mentioned, trying to get in with that customer is pretty incredible. I've gotten the demo myself, so I can attest to it. And, I think it's really smart the way you guys are doing it. And the expansion it sounds like it's going to be incredible. I think you left out one of the coolest parts. I think you said you're going to be able to adjust racking and things to really mimic like what the customer is using right now, right?
Yeah. So, our director of sales and marketing emphasized that he wanted nothing to be permanently mount like that we have today. Yeah. So we want to be able to change up the pick face. So if we're doing small bin picking, something along those lines, that we're going to do full case, or it's a combination of both. we will be actually using in this demonstration picking to a pallet jack.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're an office environment here, not warehouse environment, so we'll be able to accommodate something like that in the future. So it's really important if we can kind of really mimic real world type solutions, because I tell you, once they see and understand and grasp what we're doing and how we're able to deploy, and here at Procensis, we're not worried about if we're implementing to a big ERP or into a WMS, a best of breed solution or homegrown. We can work with all of them.
Okay.
And so therefore we're all about how, again, that we can provide a more intuitive, fast onboarding and a solution that the employee really likes, and they feel like they played a part in selecting it as well. And that's real important. Get it into the user's hands.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part, and the fact that you guys are so willing to do that and able to provide this kind of unique experience to really get the right demo and be able to understand the technology and be able to utilize it and put it in the hands of the people who really matter. The people up high above, I guess they matter in a sense, but at the end of the day, it's the employee that's really going to use the technology that's going to give you the best feedback and give you that feedback from the floor, straight from the floor, where it'll be utilized. So the fact that you guys are recognizing that and being flexible around that in that sense and building out to expand to be able to accommodate that even more, I think is a great thing and really, really good for you guys. So it's been great to talk to you here in your home, here at Procensis Solution Center. I'm curious, what do you think it sounds like you guys are expanding rapidly and you're building out this new Solution Center 2.0, I guess maybe we'll call it, or something like that. Yeah. But, what else is next for Procensis? What else is coming?
So what we have going on in parallel is expanding operations over into Europe. Oh, wow. So we're going through that process. We did ourselves an ERP implementation of Oracle NetSuite this past summer. Yeah. And so we're gearing up to be able to do the value-added services we provide here in the U.S. Over in Europe. So we're really excited about that as well. And so, a lot on our plate, but these are exciting times.
Oh, okay, that'll be great. And Europe expansion, so I got the invite to Pennsylvania. I'll be waiting for the invite to Europe. So very good to talk to you here, Ed, and get the tour of the Solution Center, be able to see the demos and the great things you're doing, and play with the devices too. That's probably the funnest part, is playing with all this stuff. So if people want to find out more information about Procensis and maybe reach out to you and figure out what kind of solutions you have for them, how could they do that?
They can reach us at info@procensis.com, or they can just simply go to our website, procensis.com, and there's a link on how to locate us. And we'll be looking forward to see what we can do to solve their challenges as well.
Okay, great. And we'll put all that information on thenewwarehouse.com as well. So it's been great to host you while you're hosting me in the Procensis Solution Center here. So Ed, thank you so much for joining me and letting me join you.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.